Alright, we're going to check a couple of cameras and change the cards, but as I do this, I think about what does your camera tell you? I mean, yes, it shows you deers running in front of it and activity, but what does it really tell you? And why do we use them to actually put them in the scheme of hunting? Well, I'm just going to let you know why I use them. So for me, cameras are a motivator, and other than motivating, they can tell me what kind of deer I have, what my herd of deer's physical and that type thing. They can tell me, half of my deers got messed up racks, or there's a lot of predators around running at my deers, that type thing. So cameras can tell you a lot. So cameras can tell me what time deer are coming into my food plot, or what time deer come down a certain trail. They can tell me if it's night or if it's day. But what else can they tell me though? I have a real link camera on one of my food plots, and it tells me what has it rained, or if my food plot is growing, or at a certain time of the day, how many deers are out on my food plot. But most all, I can look at that camera anytime I want to on a live picture of that moment without having to pick a card out of a camera. I'll just click on it from anywhere that I have internet connection, and I can pull that camera up. So that camera can tell me a lot of things. But why do we put the cameras where we put them at? Well, for me, I have been running cameras in the same spot for years. And the reason I run them in the same spot, because deer doesn't like change. Say for instance, this morning I was in my stand down in the bottom, which I call the bottom, and I noticed there's some scrapes on the trees up on this big oak tree. I mean, it's plenty of scrapes. I mean, it's probably 3-4 scrapes within a 5-foot radius. So I know there's a buck there doing that, rubbing and scraping, rubbing on the trees. So my first action, the thought was, I need to put a camera on there to see what is making those rubs. But that would have been the wrong thing to do, because deer doesn't like change. If there's a big buck in there and he's been coming and rubbing on that tree, day after day checking scrapes, and he come by and he sees a glare from a camera. You know, it's not gonna be a big glare, it's just gonna be the little red LED type lights that you see, and he's not coming back. Or he's gonna try to change his pattern up, which I've been hunting his pattern for the last couple of 2 weeks, but I haven't seen it yet. But he gonna change because he's seen that camera. Yeah, but so once he changes his pattern, he might abandon the whole area and won't come back. You know, depends on how big of an intrusion it is. So don't just put up a deer camera on any trail, especially a new trail that you've seen, like this camera right here. This is what I call the crossroads. I've been had this camera, well, a camera on this location for, it has to be 8 years, in the same location on the same tree, and it hasn't changed. So those deers get accommodated to that. They don't think it's a big change, so they know it's gonna be a glare on this tree, little LED glare on this tree when they come by it. So there's no big alarm, and that way you don't run the big deer out of here. But if I came in here, put a camera on that tree, camera on that tree up there, you know, 2 or 3 cameras in this spot trying to figure out what's coming through here, those deer's probably gonna stop coming through here. Like this area, this camera we were walking up to, is, I call it the front door of the bedding area. So that's why I'm kind of quiet. We're gonna try to ease in here and replace that cord in this camera. The camera is right here. And like I said, this entrance right there is 27 acres right here. And it's real thick cut over that's growing back. You know, it's probably been 15 years of growing back in there. So I have never been in there. But that's what this camera is showing. This is probably the most invasive camera I have, but it's been here for 5 years on the same tree, doing the same thing. So it shouldn't spook any deer that come through here because they know it's been here. And I try to put some bigger cards in this camera because I'm only check this camera once. I try to check it once a month maybe. And I have some 16 gig cards, but it not seems, let's see if I can find them. I think we're gonna have to go with an 8 this time. Okay, the pattern's still decent. We're gonna close up. So like I said, this is the most invasive camera I have in the area. And another thing, I used to come down here and bush hog this trail. That was another thing, a mistake that I made. I leave it alone now because when you bush hog it, that's a change. They wondering what happened. So they'll change their routes and won't go down this path and I need them to go by that camera back there before I can take inventory. That camera gives me the best inventory of any camera I've got, because I know probably, I'm not gonna say every deer, probably 60% of the deer in this area at one point in time is going to come by this trail here with that camera on it. Yeah, this next camera here that I have on this pear tree food plot here, I just got it strapped on the side of this pear tree, and I just try to make it look out over this field. The deer sometimes, well, a lot of times, come out of this corner and walk along the bottom and do whatever they need to do, either walk straight across or walk down the trail there. But I've noticed, I checked this camera last week, and I noticed it's looking in the wrong direction. Well, not the wrong direction, it needs to be tilted some. And that's one thing that you have to worry about when you put these cameras on, if it's in the right orientation that you need to be. But we put cameras in places that we think deer is going to come out. That way we can see what deers come out. And my thinking is, the more traffic areas, that's where you put the cameras. And don't put it right on the trail. I mean, like I said, I'm probably 40 feet, 30 feet, 35 feet away from where they come out at. So when they come out, they don't have a big glowing eye looking at them right next to them, getting them spooked. So just bring your cameras off, and plus this camera, for some odd reason, it zooms, it's like a zoom view. So it looks way closer on the card, on the actual videos, because I do videos, that's another thing I need to talk about, than it really is. And I kind of don't like that, because I have to worry about putting this camera too close to an area. Like I said, I got a real link camera that I use just for live pictures of live video on this food plot. Like I said, I can hit that at any time, day or night, and I can get a view of this food plot, which, you know, that camera probably costs every bit of $250, $300, but it takes the place of, you know, a whole bunch of these cameras. Like I said, you can get live video. I mean, it's kind of spotty, you know, it's shaky. It's not like it's going to be a fluid thing like you're watching YouTube, but you can actually get a view of what's on the food plot, what the food plot looks like, if your food plot is growing, or that type of information. That's what I use it for. But other than that, that's going to be probably about it. I mean, for me, at this point in time of the year, the most important thing that my camera can tell me, like I said, it's the end of October, is the bucks chasing the does. That's the biggest thing I want to find out with my cameras. These cards I just took out of these cameras, when I get back home, to see if the bucks are chasing the does. And if they are, what side of my property is the bucks chasing the does. That way I can determine if I need to come back here in the middle of the week on Wednesday or something like that, or take some time off and come back and hunt. Because if they chasing now, you know, you wait a whole another week to get to the weekend, that might be over with. You never know. So when you see them start chasing, you need to be in the woods as long as you possibly can. But other than that, guys, I just want to start a little series on, I'm going to call it Let's Talk About It. And like I said, today we're just talking about cameras, what we want to do with them, where we put them, and how we use them. So if you like that content, please click the like button, let me know If you guys got any topics you want to talk about or you want to try to review, and we'll try to touch on whatever we can. So other than that, guys, I'm gonna get out of here. I got a long ride home. Till the next video, we out. Thanks for watching.